Recently I was sitting down at a table and I was looking over and I noticed someone's right ankle was completely swollen. Okay, their foot was swollen, the lower leg was swollen, but the left foot wasn't swollen. And I was very, very tempted to go up to her and start asking questions. Because typically what happens when your right ankle or foot is swollen, you have edema, that's usually a liver problem, cirrhosis of the liver. And I looked down and to see if there was a protruded belly, like called ascites, and there wasn't that. It was definitely a belly, but it wasn't protruded. Now that's not the only way to diagnose a liver, but it was just one indication if there's advanced liver problems. But sometimes I get into trouble because I tend to want to evaluate the person and figure things out when they might not want to be evaluated. But based on where someone is holding fluid, edema-wise, you can tell a lot about what's going on in the body. So if the right ankle and foot is more swollen, think liver. If the left foot and ankle is swollen, think more heart. If both of the ankles and feet are swollen, think more of a blood sugar situation like diabetes. Now there's many other reasons why you might have edema. It could be you have something called chronic venous insufficiency, or you have lymphedema, or you have a kidney problem, or even you have an advanced lung problem. But the most common reasons for edema in your ankles is going to be usually in the area of blood sugar issues like diabetes or prediabetes, or you're just low in potassium and you're very high in sodium. I remember in practice, I would just simply have people either juice some greens or take some potassium, and all this fluid would just come right out the next day. So potassium is very, very important, and it just tells you that they're just not consuming enough greens. They're just doing heavy salt. And I don't actually recommend cutting down your salt. I just recommend increasing your potassium by consuming more greens, like a really large salad every single day would be great. Now let's talk about diabetes. But what happens when you're diabetic is you get destruction of your vascular system, especially in the capillaries. So all the blood that comes through your arteries, that comes down into the capillaries, it has to then go through this little exchange process. Then you have the lymphatic system, which handles the excess fluid and comes back around. And if your circulation is damaged from high levels of sugar, you're not going to get this exchange. It's going to back up into fluids, and you're going to just hold a lot of fluids in your feet and your ankles. And this is actually a pretty big problem, because think about what's happening to your heart. It's having to work really, really hard. And so when someone has edema in the ankles, it gives you a good prediction of what's going to happen down the road. And so unfortunately, when people go to the doctor for edema, they give them a diuretic. They're treating the symptom. The symptom is not the problem. It just tells you there's a problem there. And just by getting rid of the fluid, you never change the diet. You never get the potassium in there. You don't correct the blood sugars. And unfortunately, when you suppress the symptom, you're hiding the symptom, and you're lowering the awareness that the problem is still there. Because you're taking these diuretics every day and you're just getting rid of the fluid, and you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm fine. So if you're watching this right now and you have swelling in the ankles or the feet, definitely start asking questions, start to investigate an underlying cause. If you're on medications, definitely also find out the root of this problem and start to correct it so you don't end up down the road with a bigger problem. Hey, before you go, if you're benefiting from any of my content, I would love to hear about your success story. Please share it in the link down below.